Buzz Bissinger, author of the best-selling American classic Friday Night Lights, is back with another true story, the Mosquito Bowl, a game of life and death in World War II. And you're probably wondering what that all means. So let's welcome Buzz. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Of course. So let's first answer the question, what exactly is the Mosquito Bowl?
The Mosquito Bowl refers to many things, but it was an actual game that was played on. It's just mind-boggling to me. It's serendipitous. It's incredible. It was played on the island of Guadalcanal. Now, the island was in the middle of the Pacific, in the middle of nowhere. This is a football game that's being played between two regiments of the Marine Corps on Christmas Eve of 1944. It was just a football game. These regiments were stocked with great college players, stocked. Football players gravitated towards the Marine Corps, and they played against one another. It started with touch, evolved into tackle, but as much as they could, they simulated the real thing. Regulation. They built a regulation field. They built goalposts. They had officials. They had marching bands. The commanding officer, Lemuel Shepard, walked from one side of the field to the other as to not show favoritism. They had a PA system that was broadcast on the Mosquito Radio Network. You name it, they tried to do it, and that was incredibly. 1,100 Marines came, or 1,500, had a ball, were able to drink beer, gamble, but the players had a ball. They were doing something they loved that had been such a part of their lives. And the upshot was, of the 65 who played in that game, and they weren't men, they really were still boys in so many ways. I pause because it's just so tragic. Of the 65 who played, 15 were later killed. And went at Okinawa several months later. And when I heard that, I felt that there was a really poignant, important, dramatic story that I think I can tell.
And you used the game as an organizing principle to go on to explore the fates of several participants. Can you touch on one of them?
That's right. You know, there were many magnificent men. I mean, the one that comes to mind the most, I guess, is a guy named Dave Schreiner. Dave Schreiner was a two-time All-American from Wisconsin, a real All-American, great receiver. He was the All-American. When you think of All-American, you're going to think of Dave Schreiner. He was tall, 6'2", handsome, shy, very self-effacing, really hard on himself, adored his family, had fallen in love with a fiance, a wonderful woman named Hendrickson. Was everything you wanted a son to be, and was a good lieutenant in the Marine Corps. I hope you love him as a reader. I fell in love with him. I read the book, and his picture was next to me as a constant reminder of who these men were and really how young they were. He's one with others. Tony Bukovich, who was from the coal mines of Illinois, first generation American. Went to college. His father spoke no English, from Croatia. He had two other brothers who went to major colleges. John McLowry, more of a blue blood from Brown. His father was a famous football coach named Tuss. He was a star at Brown. He played for the New York Giants for a year. And then when Pearl Harbor hit, immediately signed up. Bob Bauman, a teammate of Shriner's at Wisconsin, kind of went back, like women, like cigarettes, like beer, and very good for Shriner. They were best friends. Shriner was a little bit more uptight. So these are the men that I focused on in depth, taking you through their lives, in a sense, into the carnage of Okinawa, where I should say 250,000 people died in 82 days. That's almost 3,000 a day. That's Americans, Japanese, and very innocent civilians. I mean, that's mind-boggling, and I don't think we know much about this battle. And part of the book is to remind people how horrific this battle was, how horrific war is. It does not hold back on the combat. That makes some people squeamish. I understand that, but war is about death. Let's make no mistake. War is about killing. War is about trying to kill, and I wanted to get that across. And I also wanted to get across just the horrors that these men faced and were willing to move on.
Yeah. Well, how did the Navy save college football, and why did it feel that football was the single best source of combat training? This is interesting.
Well, I think the Navy saved college football because they propped up a lot of programs. The Navy did believe that training in combat, football was the best single source of training. I sort of get that in the sense that at its best, and it's not always this way, but what is football? What are the values of football? Teamwork, dedication, playing through pain, violence, sacrifice, camaraderie, not quitting. And those are values that are important, that make for a good officer. So I see the similarity. So they started these training programs in colleges where you could still play football, but you're being trained to be an officer. And many men took advantage of this to go in the Marine Corps as officers.
Wow. Well, I'm sure we could talk and touch on so many more things of this book, but I do want to mention John Grisham says, destined to become a classic. I devoured it. So thank you so much for joining us today and telling us all about your book.
Well, thank you very much.
Of course. And if you'd like to see this segment again, just head to our website, firstcoastliving.net.